What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about how to actually scale Facebook ads to $100,000 a month with market awareness. And before I get into exactly how we're going to do this, let me tell you what we're not going to do to scale our ads. We're not going to worry about media buying strategies. That's not what we're looking at in this video. We're not going to talk about more volume and creating more ads, and we're not going to talk about how to create AI slop. Instead, what we're going to look at is the 5 stages of market awareness. And if you don't know what the 5 stages of market awareness is, it's from the legendary copywriter Eugene Schwartz, and he basically talks about how each market has different awareness levels depending on where they're at in the funnel. And I think that this book being so old makes it so legendary that this applies now more than ever. And we're going to go over each stage of awareness, but we're not just going to sit here and talk about it. I'm actually going to show you guys some ads and stuff that I have pulled from Trend Track, and we're going to break each one down and each awareness level down. And with that being said, let's get started. So the first one we're going to look at is most aware, and this is directly from the book. So in a most aware market, or a most aware customer knows what your product is, know what it does, and he just hasn't gotten around to buying it yet. And your entire ad needs to state little more than just your product and basically an offer. So a most aware prospect has seen your ads before, and these are when we talk about like retargeting ads, and we want to find audiences or customers that have already clicked on our ads. This is what most aware is for. And contrary to popular belief, I actually think that product pages, even though everybody says to run them right away when testing, I actually think that product pages are for most aware customers because it has an offer, and all it really is showing your product, right? So we're going to get a little more into different landing or different methods to actually using these in your business, and I'm going to go over here and actually show you guys a most aware ad. And the first one we have is by this watch company called Ironway, and all they do here is they just show their watch, a 4th of July sale, a 45% off, and a free strap is included. That's it. And this is actually in the top 1% of ads, and it's over there for a reason. It's because people who are clicking on this ad mostly have already seen this company, already know of this brand, already know of them, and are ready to buy from them, but they just want an offer. So even if we click shop now, it goes straight to a product page. It doesn't sit there and explain what the watch does. It doesn't sit there and explain how it's super different. Sure, it's got some benefits here, but it's really just a little offer over here, and just talks about how it's on sale and just to buy it. There's nothing crazy, there's no listicle, there's no advertorial, and these are the easiest ads to run. But in order to run ads like this, you have to already have people that know of your product and know of your brand. So most aware, we're not going to spend too much time on it just because of how easy it really is. So let's move on to product aware now. So a product aware customer isn't completely aware of all your product does, and they're not convinced of how well it does it. So basically what this means is they already know of your product, they've seen your ads, they're just not fully convinced what your product can do and if it can really do it for them, and they might still be a little bit skeptical. So typically ads like this are going to be more like, testimonials and clinical studies if you have those. So we'll go over here and we'll actually take a look at these. So let's go ahead and take a look at this product aware ad. I just want you to understand how they're really handling objections with this ad more than trying to sell with this ad.
Don't buy Zaply. You might have seen this Zaply supplement on social media, but there's something.
So just right there, it starts with the product. So it doesn't start with the problem. It doesn't start with, what their other products or other solutions. So, and it even says, you've probably seen this on the internet. This is a very interesting part to pause at.
You don't know about it. They're marketing this.
But yeah, it doesn't just start with anything else. It just starts with a product, and it starts with don't buy Zaply. And it talks about how they've already seen it before.
Supplement to regular.
Let's continue watching just so we could kind of break this down to understand how a product aware, or what a good product aware ad looks like.
Regular dads, because apparently it's used by fighters, but even more effective.
So used by fighters, more effective.
When regular dads take it. They say testosterone levels of regular people over 30 are at an all-time low because of the food quality in America. And
creates like a little enemy over here and how it solves it.
Apparently, these pills are a full-on solution for thousands of men. But dads all across America are making this big mistake when they buy Zaply. They're buying at the normal price.
So yeah, I mean, it really targets dads in America, and why this, and kind of pushes the customer over the edge and pushes them to really get to the most aware part. Now they get into like the most aware, and what they're doing here is they're taking them from product aware, handling those objections, and basically telling them, hey, like, this is the, fighters use this, and like, if you want to feel more, masculine or whatever other retarded shit it means, then buy this product. And then what you really want to do when it comes to the stages of awareness is, let's say you're starting from whatever stage you're starting at, your customer is at, your goal is to get them all the way through here. So if they're starting at problem aware, you start at problem aware and you want to get them to most aware. And we'll get into that a little bit more, but that's exactly what they do towards the end. They start getting into a most aware state, and they kind of give their customer a little offer. And you'll even see here, once you click on their landing page, straight into a product page. And a product page is fine for a solution aware, or a product aware, as long as you're able to handle those objections within the actual ad. Now we're going to get into solution aware, and this is where things start to get a little bit more complicated, okay? So with a solution aware customer, they know that they want what a product does, but they don't know that there is a product, specifically your product, that will do it for them. So for example, if you have a lot of testosterone supplements, and like the one we just saw, they're typically pretty solution aware, because customers the market has already seen all these different solutions for testosterone. They know about TRT, they know about the supplements, and now we're starting to see massive growth in peptides, which is just another new mechanism for increasing testosterone. But when it comes to solution aware, it's a pretty simple process, and all you have to do is name the desire in your headline or your hook. So if you're selling to testosterone, we'll just say with that example, you want to talk about the desire for increasing testosterone. You want to prove that it can be accomplished and show that the mechanism of that accomplishment is contained in your product. This is exactly what's happening with the peptide market. They're naming the desire, which is more testosterone growth. They're proving that the solution can be accomplished and showing like how it compares to TRT, the clinical studies, things like that. And they're showing the mechanism is contained in that product. And this is exactly what you want to do when you're bringing a product to the market, or when you're trying to scale a product and take it up into the market, is you need to really be believable. That's a big part of it. You need to have a believable mechanism. You can't just have a random mechanism that makes absolutely no sense. There has to be believability behind it. When I look at mechanisms, I like to look at them in a way where I like to look at the ones that are already proven. So I'll go into another niche, for example, and if there's a brand that sells to the same customer as me, but it's a completely different product, a completely different problem it solves, and they have a different mechanism that's really resonating with my audience, I will take that mechanism and I like to put it onto the product that I'm working on, and typically that will boost sales. And typically what that'll do is it'll really resonate with my audience because it's already proven, and I don't really have to do any of the extra lifting or any of the extra work to find that new mechanism. I find one that's already working, put that onto my product. So I got a couple of solution aware ads over here, and we'll start with this one. And we're not going to watch this entire thing, but I just kind of want to look at the hook for these.
Turns out flabby arms after 40 aren't a muscle problem. They're a collagen problem. Here's the solution that's guaranteed to work.
So first thing it says, it's not what you thought it was, it's this problem. So they already, what this kind of shows is they already have thought of like different solutions to their problem. They already know about their problem, and they know that there is solutions to their problem. They just don't know what these solutions are to really fix their problem. So if it's a collagen problem, okay, so now you're explaining the flabby arms, it's not muscle, because they've probably looked into muscle growth for that part of their arm. But turns out, hey, it's actually not what you thought it was. You're just missing collagen. So this is doing exactly what it says to do. You have to show that the mechanism of accomplishment is contained in your product. So moving forward in this ad, they talk about collagen, how collagen will solve this for them, and how they're missing this. So it's a different mechanism, and the way that I think about a mechanism is just a path to accomplishment, right? So you are just looking for a new path to accomplishment, or giving your customer a new path to accomplishment if you're coming up with a new mechanism. And we can also look at this one.
If your dog has brown waxy ears, stop cleaning them with cotton balls. Most people think wipes or cotton swabs can clean this out, but they only touch the surface of the.
So here's another one. Talks about, hey, most people think that these products solved it, but actually it's this one that solves it, or it actually hurts it more. I see this a lot. This is really like crushing it. Like these guys are spending about, $1,400 per day estimated. These guys are spending a lot on this ad, and it's working for a reason, right? It's working because it interrupts what they thought, and it shows a new path to accomplishment. It shows a different mechanism, and it shows that the correct mechanism to solve the problem that they have is within this product. Solution-aware ads are great. When it comes to solution-aware ads, I don't like to go to a product page directly. I'll typically send traffic to a listicle or a quiz funnel, just because when one of my customers is over here, I don't just want to send them straight from this level all the way to this level. I want to gradually go through the funnel so there's not a drop-off, because if we go from solution-aware to most aware right away, which is going from this ad to straight to just a product page, there's going to be a bit of a drop off over here, because you're completely missing this product aware part. And that goes for really all the stages. You don't want to go from problem aware, skip solution and product aware, and go to most aware. So I have a whole different video about that, and about landing pages and how to actually create them for your customer. But a general rule of thumb that I like to do is keep my customer where they're at. So if they're solution aware, I want to gradually move them from solution aware to most aware. And I'll do that by giving them a listicle, why my product is superior and everything like that. If you have a VSL or something as an ad like this one over here, then you can maybe get away with going to a product page, but even these guys go straight to an advertorial, right? Or a list of 7 reasons why, and they're absolutely crushing it with this. So that's solution aware. Now, problem aware, this is where it starts to get even harder. The prospect for a problem aware has not a desire like solution aware, but they have a need. So they know they have a problem, they know they have foot pain, they know they have, a dry scalp, but they don't see the connection between filling that need and your product. So the way to actually do a problem aware ad is you name the need or the solution for the need in your headline or your hook. Then you really exaggerate the need, so the prospect realizes how vividly or how badly they need the solution, and then you present your product as a solution. So an example of this would be like if somebody has like a dry scalp problem, which is a product that I sold before, and they're typically pretty problem aware. A lot of people know they have a dry scalp. There's a lot of solution aware in there, but there's also a big chunk of that market is very problem aware. They know that they have this problem, and in my ads, what I would do is I would really make them vividly feel that problem. I would make them really see that problem. I would, a big problem they had was flakes on their shoulders, white flakes falling out while they're on dates and things like that, and make them really feel that need for a solution to this problem. And then that's when I move into a more, solution aware, gradually take them through to product aware, and then to most aware. And what's great about these is I'd send them to a little advertorial, and I wish I still had it, but the advertorial wasn't that great, yet it sold so well. Like, it didn't look good, but the copy on it was so great. It sold so well because I talked to them in the stage that they were at. So if they were problem aware, that would take them to a problem aware page. If they were, if I wanted to push them into solution aware, then I would talk about the previous solutions and things they've tried and why that solution isn't the right one and why mine is the right one, right? So it all comes down to the copy you have. A lot of people are so focused on making things look nice instead of talking to the customer where they're at and making them feel the way they need to feel in order to buy your product. So we'll take a look at a couple of problemware ads as well. And here's just a good image ad or a static ad, and it just talked about numb fingers, shooting discomfort, and then finish every ride without wrist pain. It's that simple. These guys probably go straight to a product page, which, if I were them, I'd probably more so focus on actually getting them to maybe a listicle or something like that, or something to really just kind of push why your product, it will really solve it. Unless this could very well be a retargeting ad for people who have seen it, but just my assumption, I don't know what they're doing. This right here is a great example of it. I'm going to kind of just skim through this, but I want you guys to really pay attention to exactly what this ad over here does. So I'm actually going to mute this one and and just go kind of go through it. So signs your kidneys are struggling, you know, and then it kind of just goes through like all the pains of kidney struggling, and you can see it keeps going through most of it, and then it kind of gets into the mechanism and how this product is now this will solve it, because here's what it does, here's what it contains, and everything like that. I'm actually curious if these guys go straight to a product page. Nope, these guys, this is perfect. They go straight to a advertorial, and it's all AI. Like, you can see that this is all AI. Picture is very AI. This is very AI. Yet they're still crushing it, which just goes to show you people don't care about how things look. If you make them believe that your product is going to solve their issue, they're going to buy from you. If you talk to them exactly where they're at. So if they're a problem aware prospect and you give them a problem aware page and move them through all the stages of awareness, then guess what? They'll buy from you. I have a whole video on how to create advertorials that look just like this, and do it in like 10 minutes, and you'll see exactly how it's done and how you can make it look even better than this and more believable, and apply it to your business. So make sure you finish this one, but watch that one after. But this is a great ad over here, and now we're going to actually move into unaware ads, which are the most difficult ones. And you've probably seen these, and you've probably seen all these gurus talking about, you know, scale Facebook ads with native image ads and long form copy and things like that. But what a lot of these guys who teach this don't even realize is this is an unaware ad. Let me just explain it before I actually explain the rest of this. And the prospect is not aware of the desire or need. They won't admit it. They have to be led into it by your ad. So if we really take a look at unaware ads, here's a unaware image ad. A little bit disturbing, so sorry, but it's just a bunch of long form copy. It's a long form text and just a picture, and people think like this is some magic solution, but these have been around for ages. If you look at some of the oldest copywriting texts, some of the oldest copywriting letters, native ads have been around for years, for decades, and they work so well because you're opening a market that doesn't even know that they have a problem yet. So when you really reveal that problem to them, the likelihood of them buying is just increased tenfold, right? So because in a sense, they're not as sophisticated as somebody who's problem aware, who knows they have a problem, or solution aware, who have looked into solutions and know their solutions. They're not as sophisticated. And that's why these absolutely crush it, but they're so much harder to get them right. So if you click on this ad, I don't know if I want to see this, but it goes to an advertorial, right? So that's exactly how you crush these. And they're a lot harder to do, but once you get them right, they absolutely crush. Anyway, that's going to be pretty much it for this video. I hope this was pretty beneficial for you, and I would really encourage you to kind of watch this video more than once to really understand the different types of ads and exactly how they work, and you know, really pick up kind of what I'm trying to say about keeping your customer where they're at. So if your customer is already problem aware, then we want to keep them in the problem aware state once they click on the landing page, etc. So I'd recommend looking more into the stages of awareness, and if you have any questions, you can always DM me Instagram at Klick Designs Co. I'll link it down below. And if you actually want me to do this for your brand and help you scale to multiple six figures a month and actually create these stages of awareness ads and landing pages and everything for your business, then you can just click the first link in the description, or you can just go on Instagram and DM me the word scale, and we'll talk about what I can do for your business and if we're a good match. It's not going to be some, you know, sales BS. You're a business, I have a business, and we're just going to see if I can get you results. If not, then oh well. If I can, great. So anyway, that's going to be it. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and make sure you guys tune in for the next one, and I'll talk to you guys later. Appreciate it.